Hollis Stadium. I'm Derek Black here with Aaron Urson at Berry College for today's second round matchup into the NCAA Division III football championship between two very familiar teams. Only 100 miles separate the Vikings and the Panthers as they meet for the second time this season. LaGrange keeps on dancing after a date with Farmington State last week as they advance into the second round. The Vikings come in with a bye as we're ready for kickoff here.
Yeah, and this one is going to be an exciting one. Obviously, Berry was able to handle the first matchup of the year between these two teams, but LaGrange is going to be hungry to prove something. But how about the kickoff coverage from the Vikings?
Great coverage there by the Vikings as LaGrange tried to take it out. Aaron Bryant with the return, but a big tackle there by the Vikings as we'll meet the LaGrange offense first as they come out onto the field. On the offensive line for the Panthers will be number 68, Aaron Hunter, number 60, Jacob Dye, number 78, Trenton Harrison, number 50, Will Naley, and number 52, Bryson Chastang. The tight end, number 18, Michael Stillwell. The receivers, number 4, Jonathan Lampkin, number 3, Colby Crawford, number 6, Ashton Bryant, and the running back, number 20, Michael Hayes, and Henry Brodnay at quarterback. As they'll start on the ground, and a good run here by the Panthers, still on his feet, as Bozeman takes the opening carry for 8 yards.
Yeah, and Bozeman is going to be a guy that has to be an intricate part of this LaGrange game plan offensively. He's such a bruising runner. It's going to be tough to bring down for the defensive linemen and linebackers of the Vikings.
Yeah. Absolutely, as the Vikings linebacker core has been dominant all year, as we'll meet the starting defense for the Vikings. On the line, Jaden Melville, Michael Clark, Ben Brookshire. The linebackers, Cade Petty, Carver Cole, Christian Lewis, Dawson Livingston. And in the secondary, it'll be Bryson Williams, Stephen Pickett, Jack Murray, and Gian Travarzo as a penalty assessed to the Vikings on that first play. It'll be holding on the Vikings. Moves it forward 10 extra yards and a fresh set of downs for the Panthers as a good start to this first drive on the 36-yard line.
Kind of a nightmare start here for the Vikings side, though, as they were not able to stop Bozeman on that first play and then got pushed back by the penalty. They're going to have to dig their heels in and pin their ears back, try to get this stop here early on against the Panthers.
As the Vikings show pressure, and they get a good tackle for loss. After a little bit of a interesting formation by the Panthers, the Vikings sniff it out and march the Panthers back 3 more yards.
Yeah, and that's Carver Cole, the Highland, Utah native, has 46 tackles on the season, 7 for loss, 2 sacks, and an interception. He has had a hyper-productive year for the Vikings in his senior season.
Absolutely. The linebackers for the Vikings, Livingston, Petty, Lewis, and like you said, Cole, all conference selections in the SAA. So a really solid group they've got in linebackers. Brodnax gets his first throw of the game, but maybe back to the original line of scrimmage, that is, and makes it 3rd down and long here for LaGrange.
Nice catch there by Colby Crawford, though, settling down into that Viking zone, found the sweet spot and a nice delivery that time from Brodnax.
So it'll be 3rd down and 7. A crucial conversion here for LaGrange, trying to keep this opening drive alive.
Yeah, and LaGrange has to be able to sustain some drives and keep their momentum going down the field against this Berry defense and keep that high-powered offense off the field of the Vikings.
Brosnax looking downfield, and he's got his man.
That's a big-time catch that time from Ashton Bryant, and he's going to be the X factor coming into this one as we'll get another look. Just going to run a little bit of a corner route, finds his leverage to the outside, able to go up and high point it. Big-time play that time from Ashton Bryant.
Yeah, this is one of the better receiving cores that the Vikings have faced this year, as they're going to have their hands full with a young secondary for the Vikings who have proven themselves a couple times this year, but nothing quite like this.
Yeah, we talked to the coaching staff before the game, and they believe that this is going to be the best receiving core that they have faced throughout the season. So the Vikings defensive backs, like you said, have done a good job, but they have to continue that in this one.
A little pitch now to Bozeman as he weaves his way through traffic. As he'll get about 5 yards on that play. As this is about as perfect as a start as you can picture for LaGrange right now.
Yeah, this is picture perfect for Coach Dotson. He couldn't have drawn it up any better. They've been running the ball well, and they've been able to get the pass game, the intermediate pass game going as well. I think that's going to be a key for them as well. Again, Bozeman with those 8 touchdowns on the season. He's the bruising runner, and he's been featured so far.
Screen pass out to Bozeman. He's got a little bit on the outside, makes a good move back to the inside. And down at the 30-yard line, another first down for LaGrange.
And this is not the same LaGrange team as we see Bozeman getting to the outside. Just such a big body, hard to bring down, dragging Jack Murray up to around the 30-yard line.
With the play clock operator, please start the game. Please start the play clock immediately after the official gives the dead ball signal. Do not wait until the ball is spotted. Thank you.
Some clock issues there, but getting it reset now to 40.
Please set the play clock to 25 seconds and start it on my signal.
There we go. LaGrange trying to sustain this drive, 1st and 10 now. Free play here for the Panthers. The Vikings jumped off sides. It's picked off, but it's not going to matter. It's coming back.
Off of the hands of LaGrange Panthers.
Yeah, I believe Broadnax recognized the flag on the field. We'll see who it's on. I believe this may be on the Panthers.
It looked like a Viking had jumped off sides. Murray comes up with the interception. We'll await the signal here. As it will go against the defense, so the Vikings stay on defense after getting the interception. I think you're correct. Broadnax knew that he had a free play in his pocket.
Yeah, it was good recognition that time. Broadnax, a veteran quarterback, transferred over from Hanover after his freshman season, and he has been the answer to LaGrange's prayers at the quarterback position. But he'll take a seat now for Kirk Scott, a guy that has really caused some trouble for opposing defense. Opposing defenses running the ball, has 292 rushing yards on the season to go with 8 touchdowns. So he's been terrific, and now they're going to try to get him going.
As you got to imagine this is probably going to be a run play. He hasn't passed it a whole lot this year.
Looks like we're going to get a stoppage from the official. Not sure what that was for, but the sideline official wanted to have a word.
As we're another delay here. Not sure what for. Still waiting to see.
Game clock operator, set the game clock to 11:42. 11:42.
As now changes to the game clock.
Yeah, it's a pretty big adjustment. Back up to 11:42 will be what we have on the game clock as we look to resume play. LaGrange really driving the ball early on, maybe shocking this Viking defense a little bit.
One of the toughest things coming off a bye has always been the tackling, and Vikings have missed a couple today as the screen pass goes out of bounds.
It's a backwards pass as well, so it should back up LaGrange a couple of yards. As you're going to get another look at it. Trying to go with a little swing pass out to the left, but just misfired it.
So yeah, that backs up the Panthers. That's a big miss there. If you miss that one forwards, it's at least an incomplete. You keep your line of scrimmage, but now you're right back to the original line of scrimmage before the offsides penalty for LaGrange.
Yeah, shocking that you bring in your running quarterback to come in and throw a screen pass. Maybe trying to fool the Vikings, trying to threaten the run and go with the pass, but didn't work out there for Coach Dodson.
Broadnax back in the game. He has a man in motion going across the formation. He's going to look downfield, hits the seam. A good pass there to the tight end. Michael Stillwell hauls it in right up the seam of the Vikings defense.
Well, I tell you, this kid, Michael Stillwell, is impressive. You look at him, he's staying 6'3", 220 pounds. He's just a sophomore. He has 32 catches on the season. As we'll get a look at him going up, right up the seam against this Viking defense, finding the hole against Cade Petty, and now setting up LaGrange in the red zone.
LaGrange not known for their red zone efficiency this year. They're going to have to figure out a way to take advantage of these opportunities, especially early on in this game, as they're going to hand it off, and Bozeman gets nothing there.
Yeah, nice job by the defensive front, digging their heels in, as that looked like it was Dawson Livingston in on the tackle, all-conference defensive lineman for the Vikings, along with the SA Defensive Player of the Year and the big man in the middle, Michael Clark, number 5.
Loss of 2 on the play. 2nd down and 10.
So back into the game is Kirk Scott, as we'll see if they elect to run it with him this time or let him throw it again. 2nd down and goal here for LaGrange. It will be Scott running it, and the Vikings sniffed that one out in a hurry as Michael Clark, the man there.
Yeah, just mentioned him, SA Defensive Player of the Year. He is a tough man to move off his spot. He's going to plug that gap all day for the Vikings, and LaGrange is going to have to find a way to avoid him.
Yeah, he takes up a lot of space there on that line. His nickname isn't Big Mike for nothing.
Yeah. But Henry Broadnax, his nickname is Henry Danger. So we'll see if he can provide any danger to the Vikings this time. It's 3rd and 8, they got to make something happen.
Need the goal line here, as Broadnax looking for the corner of the end zone. Murray in coverage, but the flag is out. Murray never turned his head on that one.
Yeah, and you're always going to see that penalty. Anytime a defensive back has his back turned to the ball and is right in front of the receiver, goes through the body, and you're going to get called for that penalty every single time.
That flag came out pretty fast. This one isn't basketball. Just because your hands are up doesn't mean you didn't do anything wrong, as Murray tried to avoid it, but like you said, never turned his head even if the ball was behind him.
Yep.
And so this one keeps the drive alive for LaGrange, moves it to the 2-yard line with a fresh set.
Yeah, on a play like that, Murray just has to get his head around and be able to present to the official that he's looking to make a play on the ball, not the receiver, but instead now a prime opportunity for LaGrange to put some points on the board.
Last time these two teams faced, very early on in the year, 2nd game of the season for both of them, LaGrange was shut out, but looking to show that they're not the same team like you said earlier, as Bozeman gets the handoff, weaves his way through traffic. He's going to be down at about the half-yard line.
Handoff was to DeCars, Bozeman.
It's a good tackle. I believe that was Murray coming downhill to make the tackle from that safety position, making up for the last play, keeping LaGrange out of the end zone for now.
Yeah, now the Vikings really have to dig their heels in defensively. LaGrange is just going to look to push it in with Bozeman again, I would believe, as they have their 2 tight ends out there.
Broadnax hands it off. It looks like he's short again. Bozeman still can't get in.
Yeah,
3rd down.
Bozeman looks like he's a shoestring away from the end zone. If he would have just fell forward a little bit, he might have had a chance to score. They'll go tush push here, though.
As Pyle not moving a whole lot, the signal comes in, touchdown Panthers, as they crack into the end zone for the first time today and take a 6-0 lead here at Valhalla Stadium.
Wow, 7 minutes off the clock on that drive. What a job by Broadnax, controlling the game, getting his team in order. And how about Bozeman with just continuous bruising runs to get their offense going?
LaGrange kind of been known this year for their big plays, short drives, striking quickly, but that time methodical down the field and executed in the red zone. Not something they've been super great at this year. Only about 50% of their red zone trips end in a touchdown as the extra point gets knocked through. And now it'll be the Vikings offense chances to respond here after LaGrange comes out and punches the Vikings in the mouth.
Yeah, and that's something that you probably didn't expect if you're Coach Tony Konchesky of the Vikings. He probably expected his defense to go out there and get a quick 3 and out after what they were able to do against LaGrange earlier in the season. But LaGrange says this is not the 2nd game of the season. We're here to come in and do some damage, and they did just that on the first drive of the game. Now can their defense go out and get it done defensively?
As we take a look at the bracket here, waiting for kickoff. This is in the Mount Union section of the bracket. The Vikings will play LaGrange here, Hardin Simmons and Trinity on the other side. The winners will play each other here in this section of the bracket. LaGrange, like we said in the open, beat Farmington State last week in the game, as the Vikings were one of the top 8 seeds, so they get a bye and play a team that didn't have a bye in the first round, so the advantage of being top 8 in the country in MPI.
Yeah, and that was a nail-biter that they had last week, LaGrange against Farmingham State, 24-21. They just were able to sneak out of that game with a W to move on to this week. And they initially were supposed to host that game, but because of some issues with their home stadium, they had to travel up north to play Farmingham State.
As a short kickoff here is fielded by Xavion Plunkett, as he'll be down at the 28-yard line. Some extracurriculars down on the LaGrange sideline. A flag has been flown. As there's still some scuttlebutt over there right in front of the LaGrange Panther bench, and the Vikings go running away looking like they got it themselves. A free 15 yards, as we're going to take this opportunity to meet the offense for the Vikings as they take the field and sort out some extracurriculars. On offense for the Vikings at quarterback, number 14, Christian Lewis. Number 9, Josh Rogers, the running back. The receiver trio for the Vikings, Bryce Herring, Kamari Smith, Brendan Gray. At tight end, number 33, Hunter Coleman. And this offensive line for the Vikings is going to be Reed Richards, McCormick Langford, Marcus Head, Bryson Hill, Tyler Martin.
Number 44 for the receiving team, number 26 for the kicking team. Those penalties will offset. It's first down.
As we get offsetting penalties, both unsportsmanlike on each player of the team, so no change here. As Vikings go to take the field on offense. Christian Lewis in at quarterback with Rogers behind him.
Yeah, Lewis is going to be taking the snap from Marcus Head, the backup center, in for Riley Stevens, who's out for this game.
A handoff to Rogers. He gets going soon. Rogers over the 50-yard line. And that's a response from the Vikings as Rogers pulls him over midfield.
Well, I tell you, this burst from Josh Rogers is just unbelievable. You see him once he's able to get to that second level, it's good night Irene as he's able to pick up a big first down to start things off for the Vikings.
As the Vikings going quickly here, Rogers stays in the backfield with Lewis. This run game has been the Vikings' bread and butter all year. This time, Lewis, the quick throw out to Herring. He's dangerous in space. Makes a man miss, but nowhere to go for Herring as he stood up about a yard past the line of scrimmage. And we'll meet this LaGrange defense here as they're going to have their hands full today on the line for the Panthers. Demarion Hudson, Javon Wells, and Anthony Lovett, the linebackers. Number 34, Chet Smith. Number 10, Desmond Jones. Number 24, Wyatt Tant. And the secondary for the Panthers, one of their best units. Number 21, Jaden Sanders. Number 38, Dion King Jr. Number 25, Keon Stodmeyer. Number 6, Messias Gardnett. And number 1, Legend Doggett. As Lewis back under center, looking to throw. Has Gray over the middle, but can't hold on. Not something you say often.
Wow. Well, how about that hit from Keon Stoudemire coming up out of his safety position and just laying the boom that time. Stoudemire has had a very productive year, has 37 tackles coming into this one, 3 for loss and 2 interceptions as well. So this LaGrange secondary, as you said, might be the best unit on this LaGrange team, and Christian Lewis is going to have to find a way to exploit them, but it's going to be no easy task.
Yeah, LaGrange with a pair of first-team all-conference cornerbacks. That's really going to test the arm of Christian Lewis and some of these receivers for the Vikings, as we saw the first test there. Lewis going to use his legs on this one. Has some yardage. He'll be short of the marker still. And now it's choice for Tochi Koncheski.
Yeah, that was a nice job by the LaGrange defense, showing pressure early and dropping out of it, really making Christian Lewis have to use his legs, as it'll be Andrew Hunter coming on for the Vikings at quarterback.
Very similar to the Panthers, the Vikings have utilized both quarterbacks all year, as Andrew Hunter and his counterpart, Jake Turner, into the game. As frequent viewers of the show are going to recognize this one.
Yeah, they've been running buddies all season, as that's going to be Andrew Hunter with a bit of a hard count. First time we've seen that all season from the junior. So Andrew Hunter didn't have to move a foot to pick up the first down for the Vikings on that one. Just used his cadence to get LaGrange to
And that was
punch.
good awareness there by Christian Bell, the extra offensive lineman they brought in there to move once he got the LaGrange Panther to jump, because he got back in time, but if you move because of defensive movement, that's how you get the penalty and a fresh set of downs now for the Vikings at the 35-yard line.
We'll see if the Vikings try to take a shot here. Empty backfield for Lewis.
As Lewis thought about it, instead hits Herring right in the face. I don't think he realized it was coming to him.
Yeah, Lewis was really looking for Gray over the middle. He had him on the crossing route for a split second, then did good to go to his second read to Herring, but Herring just didn't have his hands ready, and that's not something you say about a receiver very often.
I mean, literally hit him in the face mask.
It sure did. It sure did. They'll go with a 4 wide receiver set to the right. They'll motion him over.
As Rogers back in the backfield after that big first run of the game for the Vikings. They'll give it back to him now. Another decent hole for Rogers as he's going to be able to get 4 yards on that one.
Yeah, that's promising for the Vikings that they're able to open up the interior of that offensive line. Watch the big boys go to work on the inside, opening up that hole. And if you're able to get any daylight for number 9, he's going to burst through it.
Yeah, 4 of the 5 Vikings offensive linemen, first-team all-conference selections, the SAA. Tyler Martin, a second-team selection. So all 5 of their starters, all-conference selections. And it's just so hard to stop the run when you have that type of power up front. As Andrew Hunter in the game now with Jake Turner. He's going to run it himself as he gets taken down from behind. A gain of 2 yards for Hunter.
How about that pursuit from the LaGrange defense, though? They know exactly what the Vikings want to do on 3rd and short, and they went straight to the hat of Andrew Hunter.
Gain 2 yards.
Yeah, that was right around the right side of the line, just getting behind Hunter. So they'll go for it on 4th down here. 4th and 3. Williams goes in motion across the formation. This is quite the set for the Vikings.
How about everybody on the line of scrimmage? No wide receivers on this play. We're going old school.
Good old-fashioned 3 yards in a cloud of dust as Hunter powers his way through. Hunter breaks away. He's got to get away from the cop speed, and they're not going to catch him. Touchdown, Vikings.
Wow, what a run by Andrew Hunter. Took the contact from 2 LaGrange defenders and then was able to just spin off, keep those legs churning, and then he found daylight, and it was good night, Irene, once again.
A great 4th down run from Hunter as we take another.
Yeah, just going through Panthers on his way to the end zone, and then he was able to, as you said, emerge from that cloud of dust. As we're going to get a 2-point attempt here from the Vikings.
As Gray weaving his way through traffic, and he'll spin his way into the end zone. 8-7, Vikings lead.
And that's something that's unique about this Vikings attack, is that they are not afraid to go for 2 in any situation throughout the game. They want to have an advantage. They believe in their special teams unit to be able to go out and pick up 2 yards and get those 2 points.
Student athletes compete in NCAA championships at more than 800 sites across the country each year. Share the experience and excitement of another NCAA championship coming to a city near you. To witness the top teams in the nation compete for a national championship, visit ncaa.com/tickets.
As the Vikings able to cash in on that last drive, they'll end it with 8 after an Andrew Hunter touchdown run on 4th down and kick it right back to the LaGrange offense, who had a fantastic first drive of the game, looking to replicate that performance here.
Yeah, and that's a big response from the Vikings. If they did convert that 4th and 3, you're talking about giving LaGrange the ball near midfield with a 7-point lead.
As bobbled the kickoff and nowhere to go. Great coverage by the Vikings again. The special teams for the Vikings have showed up so far today after the returner for LaGrange, Aaron Bryant, bobbled it in the end zone, luckily recovered it, able to get at least something out of that and out to what looks like the 14-yard line.
Yeah, tempers have really flared in the special teams phase of this game so far. We saw on the first kickoff, we had guys almost at fisticuffs. And just now I saw a couple of bodies flailing after the whistle that time. So referees are going to have to get control of this special teams phase of this game.
Yeah, no love lost between these two teams. Very familiar with each other. Play each other almost every year, only 100 miles away from each other. And now they meet in the playoffs after LaGrange having an historic season, winning USA South. Their only loss of the season to the Vikings as this handoff, the Vikings sniff out for a loss of 3 yards.
How about Christopher Lewis knowing where to be and attacking the football as soon as he saw the hole, as Bozeman had to meet number 6 in blue, and then Chaz Pope helping him finish it off.
Yeah, Lewis's 6th tackle for loss this season, one of the leaders of this defense. The two Lewis brothers on both sides of the balls for the Vikings. As now it's 2nd down and 13. Lots of motion for LaGrange here pre-snap. The screen pass out as a good move by Bozeman out in the flat, but a flag is down in the backfield, right along where Bozeman caught it.
Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield.
As it's going to be an illegal formation against LaGrange. 5 men in the backfield. So that'll back them up an extra couple of yards after Bozeman worked hard to get some of those back. Makes it 2nd down and very long.
Yeah, anytime you try to go to one of those funky formations with a lot of eye candy in the backfield, you leave yourself susceptible to those illegal formation calls, and that time LaGrange is victim to it.
As the head coach for LaGrange, Wes Dodson, in his 3rd season, like we said, the best finish in LaGrange history, and a person who helped start this football program. On the other side, head coach Tony Sincheski, as Bodnax tries to get away from big Michael Clark, but great pursuit angle.
Short of the 15-yard line, Christopher Lewis was there on his heels.
But head coach Tony Konchesky helped start the program at LaGrange, was a head strength and conditioning coach for 6 seasons for the Panthers before coming over to the Vikings and helping start their football program, and has been with the Vikings ever since. So plenty of familiarity between these two schools on all levels as they meet here in the 2nd round of the NCAA playoffs, and now 3rd down and 13 for LaGrange.
And this was one of the keys to the game for LaGrange, was staying out of 3rd and long. Now they'll have to work with it.
As right up the scene again, Michael Stillwell, almost an identical play to what you saw down in the red zone earlier, converts the 3rd and long, makes it 1st down LaGrange.
Yeah, and you watch this guy on film, and he just jumps out to you with his size and his speed. And he really presents the problem that the Vikings have not seen throughout the season: a big body tight end who can get out in the seam, run slant routes, and get open in the middle of the field. Now 3 players in the backfield alongside Scott.
Scott with the RPO makes a man miss. So shifty when he gets to the outside, but Pope able to drag him down by the ankles. You can see just the way Scott moves. It's like a joystick, just so hard to read and bring down, especially on those RPO plays.
Yeah, that's a great pursuit that time from Chaz Pope, though. He leads his team in interceptions, that time getting it done as a tackler.
2nd and 5.
Yeah, Pope has been instrumental in this run defense, one of the best in the country in terms of stopping the run. But he comes down so often from that safety position, just gets downhill, takes his angles well, and able to get after the ball carrier. As this one, a quick screen pass out to Stillwell. Stillwell has got to unhitch the trailer, but gets right over midfield.
And boy, I tell you, how about Stillwell getting in space, and they're really starting to feature him after they threw that seam route to him on their first drive, but now they're getting him involved in every phase of the ball game.
As Pickett able to get the tackle there. Or sorry, that was Bryson Williams with the tackle. As Broadnax taking this shotgun snap. As this will bring the end of the 1st quarter, it looks like. LaGrange content to let the clock run out at 50, with LaGrange at the 50-yard line. And so we'll take a quick break as well and be right back for the second quarter of action.
Quarter, your score, Perry 8, LaGrange 7. Fans, take home a unique souvenir from today's championship. Visit NCAA merchandise stands throughout the venue for great championship gear and memorabilia.
Back after the commercial break as LaGrange driving down the field for the second time today gets it out to the 50-yard lines, largely in part to Michael Stillwell, their big tight end, who's had himself a day so far.
And a name we haven't called to this point is Michael Hayes. He's listed as a starting running back for the Panthers, but it's really been Bozeman as this time he's driven back.
Another tackle for loss for Lewis as Bozeman tried to bounce it back and is staring down the barrel of Christopher Lewis.
Yeah, Christopher Lewis is just a force, and like we said, the commander of this Viking defense, the quarterback of the defense, if you will, and he's done it all season for the Vikings and gets it done again there. And now if you're Broadnax, 2nd and 11, you really want to find a way to get yourself in third manageable, especially if you can't find the first down marker. At least put yourself in a situation that's manageable. Get some yards here and set yourself up for a manageable third down.
As Broadnax airing this one out, and that's going to be a pick.
Yeah,
Great ball hawking abilities by Bryson Williams. Looked like he was running the route on that one, and he's fired up.
Yeah, I think that one really sailed into the wind on Broadnax, put way too much mustard on it. As you get a look at the celebration from Williams, he's fired up.
A big turnover there for this Vikings defense, as that's been one of the downfalls of this LaGrange offense this year. 18 turnovers coming in today on the year. Through 10 games, they're 5-0 when they win the turnover battle, but only happened 5 out of 10 times this year, as that's not a good start for them there. And now the Vikings take over at their own 10-yard line with Christian Lewis.
You got Kamari Smith and Kobe Seitz. Kobe Seitz going to motion into the backfield alongside Lewis.
As Seitz gets his first handoff today, trying to weave his way between tackles, but won't get much there. Seitz a little banged up after that Southwestern game, but the advantage of having the bye is able to recoup last week and rest that up. I believe it was an ankle sprain during that Southwestern game that knocked him out.
Yeah, ankle sprains are just so hard to come back from, though. Even with the week off, you're still going to have some soreness, and had a chance to talk to him before the game. He said he's pretty good cutting-wise, but when he tries to really plant on that injured ankle, it's hard for him to really get going, so we'll see if that affects him.
Lewis rolls out, gets away at the last second to Lyons. Not much there, but better than taking the sack, which is what it looked like Lewis was going to have to deal with. But now 3rd down and about 8.
And yeah, just a big-time play by Brandon Brooks coming up to make that tackle. LaGrange really likes to bring in an extra defensive back, and they're staying true to their philosophies in this one.
And now check out this formation as the Vikings call a timeout. Their first timeout of this half. 13:03 left to go. 3rd down and 8 for the Vikings. As Aaron, so far it's been long offensive drives for this one. This is the first real threat of a 3-and-out. What's kind of been going right?
When you look at LaGrange, they were able to establish a run game early. That was one of our keys that we talked about pre-game off air. It was their ability to get the ball going downfield with their running back, and Bozeman has just been a load to bring down. I love the way that this guy runs in between the tackles, and they've also featured him outside in the screen game as well. So they found what's working, and they've stuck with it. As you mentioned a little bit ago, Stillwell, their tight end, number 18, has been phenomenal in the first quarter and the first part of the second quarter as well. So they got to continue to feed those guys and feature their playmakers, and then once you're able to lure the Vikings to sleep with the jabs, you can find guys on the outside like Ashton Bryant and Aaron Bryant as well. Now, those are guys that can really hurt the Vikings on the outside if they're not careful and paying attention to detail.
Vikings back out of the timeout with a big 3rd down and 8, trying to avoid the 3-and-out deep in their own territory. As Lewis, alone in the backfield, trips out to his left. Rogers joins him now. As it looks like LaGrange playing this one conservatively, not rushing the passer too much. As this one, a good break up there, out in the flat.
Christian Lewis intended for Kamari Smith.
As it was Legend Doggett in coverage for the Panthers, and it forces a punt now for the Vikings.
Yeah, Legend Doggett, he's a guy that I had my eye on going into this one. All-conference guy, has 32 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions on the season. And he is just a really tough guy to beat one-on-one. And if he's able to make a break on the ball, it's going to be an incompletion.
Brings out Miles Hamby for the first time today, punting out of his own end zone. As this one, a line drive punt. Not his best work.
Wow.
As it falls to the 33-yard line of the Vikings. So about a 23-yard punt.
And special teams, normally a phase of the game that the Vikings are able to dominate, and that's where they really start to blow games open. But instead, in this one, LaGrange is going to get really favorable field position inside their own 35-yard, or inside the Vikings' 35-yard line.
Yeah, they almost take over exactly where they picked the ball off. As it's always a little bit harder in the cold for these punters. The ball is a little bit firmer, a little bit harder to handle. And a Georgia team not exactly used to playing in the cold. It's about 35 degrees today.
Yeah, this is the coldest game by far that the Vikings have played in. I believe LaGrange, when they went up north to play Birmingham State, might have had a little bit of preparation to play in this cold weather. As here's
there it goes. Touchdown for the Panthers. They answer just like that. Kirk Scott breaks free, finds his way through the tackles.
Wow.
And gets right back on the scoreboard for the Panthers.
Yeah, we talk about the speed that this guy has. It's really phenomenal when he's able to get in open space. That time, this was the first time he really was able to break into the second level. Well, boy, I tell you, how about the blocks up front from the Panthers opening it up for Scott to be able to get all the way to the end zone. And really a big-time change of events as the Vikings had the ball, had a 1-point lead. Now you blink, and you're down 5 and what could be 6 after this extra point.
As it's knocked through. So LaGrange taking a 14-8 lead right now. 12:36 left to go in the second quarter as the Vikings offense fails to convert anything there on after the interception. LaGrange answers right back. 1-play touchdown from Kirk Scott.
Yeah, and for LaGrange, this is a huge confidence builder for them coming into this one. And if there was any non-believers on that sideline for them, they're believers now after they've seen what they can do against this Viking defense. Really able to do what a lot of top-ranked teams this year in Trinity and Maryville have not been able to do, which is run the football effectively against the Vikings, and they've been able to do that to perfection.
Yeah, the Vikings' run defense has been their bread and butter this entire year. And really, it starts with those 4 linebackers we highlighted in the open. But coming off the bye, like I said, you never know how your team's going to react, how the tackling's going to be. And so far, they've missed some tackles. They've missed some assignments. And you need to buckle it up here for the next 3 quarters, essentially. As the wind knocks the football over, we'll get a holder to come in for the kicker, Landon Eaker. As they'll try one more time without a holder. And it'll be Liam Delaney to kick it away. So the Vikings offense going to try to recoup their losses from the last drive. As Plunkett can't field the kickoff, picks it back up, but down at the 11-yard line, bounced right off the chest of Plunkett. And good coverage there by the Panthers special teams unit. So this is now the second time between both teams we've seen problems handling the kickoff.
Yeah, that was a tremendous job. I believe that was number 19, Lamarcus Webb, the 5'11 sophomore, coming up with a big-time tackle to keep the Vikings really pinned back in their own territory, and now they'll have to make up for some lost ground.
As it'll be a handoff to Rogers, who gets upended in the backfield. Does a flip to get back to the line of scrimmage, essentially.
That's a nice job by the LaGrange defensive front linebackers that time, plugging the gaps, making it really tough for Rogers to find any space on the line of scrimmage.
Josh Rogers, no gain on the play, lost 1 yard. 2nd and 11 for Berry.
So 2nd down and 9. It'll be Andrew Hunter in the game now.
Yeah, and you gotta believe when LaGrange sees number 17 behind center, they are going to load the box, and that's exactly what they're gonna do.
Hunter not afraid to pass it, though, as he gets it to Rogers out in space, makes one man miss, and makes it 3rd down and a lot more manageable for the Vikings. As we'll take another look at that. Like you said, loads the box in preparation for Hunter's legs, but a very capable passer, and Rogers just does a good job of making one miss, getting upfield.
How about the big man, Javon Wells, coming from his defensive line position to come and track down Josh Rogers halfway down to the 1st down marker.
As 3rd down and short means Andrew Hunter stays in the game. The lone touchdown for the Vikings coming from Hunter. As he's going to charge forward. It looks like he's going to be short, but not by much. This will be an interesting decision now for the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, all year you have been aggressive on 4th and short with Andrew Hunter, but you got to look at the flip side of it. You give the ball back to LaGrange in the red zone, essentially, with the way their offense has been playing, it's going to be tough to stop them if they're able to get this stop.
So the offense stays out on the field, 4th down and about a yard. Hunter charging forward. He's got it. Hunter still on his feet out to the 30-yard line and moves the chains, and a good choice there by head coach Tony Konchesky pays off.
How about Jake Turner, the running back, and the tight end Walker Williams, number 87, paving the way for Hunter that time. He's followed those big boys all year. He'll continue to do it there.
So the Vikings keep the drive alive. And it'll be Christian Lewis back in at quarterback now for the Vikings. Sykes gets the handoff, and a good run there by Sykes to pick up 4 yards. 2nd down and 6 now for the Vikings.
And if the Vikings can make this a war of attrition and a battle of attrition, they will find themselves in the driver's seat to get a win today. They are known for just wearing down defenses with their ability to rotate in running backs and different wide receivers in their quick game. So if they can do that to the Panthers, they'll put themselves to be in a good position to come back in this one and maybe wear down LaGrange down the stretch. But if LaGrange can continue to put the Vikings in 3rd and long situations, they can find a way to do away with that war of attrition.
As Lewis hands off to Rogers, but we're going to get a flag to stop the play. I think it's going to back up the Vikings with a false start.
Very uncharacteristic of the Vikings. Pre-snap penalties have been almost non-existent, especially at home.
5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
So it makes it 2nd down and 10 and basically negates the Josh Rogers run to make it a little bit more manageable. As like you said, very uncharacteristic of this Vikings team. Not a very penalized team at all, let alone pre-snap. As the screen pass out to Lyons. Lyons bobbing and weaving his way through traffic. It's a foot race now, and Lyons gets thrown out of bounds at the 43-yard line. But after a big gain by the senior receiver.
Yeah, you're just going to see him. When he's able to get out in space, he's able to make people miss in the intermediate phase, and then it's off to the races. Nice job by Doggett, able to save a touchdown.
Like you said, saving a touchdown. Doggett able to track it down, but not after the damage was done. A big play there by the Vikings. It's interesting, coming into today, LaGrange more the big play team, but we've seen between the first run Rogers had and now that one from Lyons, and then Andrew Hunter's run, 3 big plays from the Vikings, and LaGrange on the other side kind of wearing down the Vikings defense as Lewis looks to pass, has it off the face mask. Wow. Of a LaGrange defender. So a reason that young man plays defensive back.
Yeah, Messiah Scandrett had a chance to really flip this game on its head if he's able to come down with that interception. After the big play from Lyons, Lewis tried to keep it back. He'll have to settle in and just try to calm this offense down. That's really been the difference in this Vikings team throughout this season, is that Lewis has been able to settle down the Viking offense when they're facing adversity. He's going to have to continue to do that.
Lewis will drop back to pass again. Looking down the sideline, he's got Brendan Gray. Lewis drops it in a bucket. Gray takes a shot, and it's going to move it 15 yards closer to the goal line.
That is a beautifully drawn-up play, making the run to the opposite side, coming back with a little bit of a bootleg as Christian Lewis was able to deliver the ball perfectly with 2 Panthers in his face.
As it's actually going to be offensive pass interference.
Wow.
The Vikings faithful not happy with that one, as there were 2 targets there in the area, and they're going to say that it was Kamari Smith interfering with Gray as defender.
Yeah, LaGrange's crowd is in full effect as well, as they are extremely happy with that call, and now things really changed for the Vikings.
Second down and about a mile. They'll need the the LaGrange 30-yard line, starting from their own 45. As a quick pass out to Kamari Smith, and doesn't go anywhere.
Well, I tell you, LaGrange is flying to the football that time, and they're just really imposing their will on the Vikings offense right now. They're dictating the game, and that was something that LaGrange had to do to stay in this one, and they are doing that and executing perfectly.
So obvious passing down now for the Vikings. As he'll send Rogers out to the flat now, an empty backfield for Lewis.
And this is LaGrange's bread and butter, just sitting back and making the Vikings come to them.
Lyons with another good run after the catch. He lost the football, though. They'll say he was down. Lyons had it pop out at the end. Gets him 10 more yards, makes it 3rd down and 10. 4th down and 10, sorry.
Yeah, LaGrange loves to deploy that flying V defense with 2 tackles and a 3 or 5 technique lined up beside them, and then 2 linebackers on the outside of the line of scrimmage. And that really gives you trouble when you have to throw the ball on 3rd and long. But now the Vikings in no man's land going to try to go for it.
Yeah, like you said, a little too short to punt, but outside of Richard's range as it's 4th and 11. Lewis with the hard count screen if he can get anyone to jump.
Yeah, trips at the bottom of your screen. You got Nate Lyons alongside, I want to say that's Bryce Herring, and then Walker Williams at the bottom.
As the Vikings will take the delay a game penalty, likely to back them up a little bit more to make this a more realistic punt for Hamby. As the offense comes off the field, the Vikings will punt it away with 6 minutes left to play here in the second half.
It's a new era for college
And
sports.
LaGrange, like we said, has really controlled the pulse of this game so far. They've dictated almost every single drive of this game. Even when the Vikings were able to score, it was a sudden change and Hunter was able to break through. But other than that, LaGrange has really controlled this game, and they're going to have a chance to take a 2-score lead.
The Vikings defense going to need to wake up on this drive and do what they've done best all year as Hamby gets the punt away this time. A much better punt. And a good job fielding that one. Kirk Scott, the punt returner. Also the backup quarterback.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever seen a quarterback also play punt returner, but with his speed, he is dynamic, and Coach Dotson knows it, and he wants to make the most out of it if he's able to get some space on a return.
As I believe there's going to be a running into the kicker flag in the backfield. We'll see what Coach Konchesky decides to do with it.
Yeah, they will decline the penalty and they accept the field position that they already have at the pin back inside their own 20.
Vikings will need a stop here to avoid it going into a 2-possession game here. But the Vikings do get the ball back coming out of halftime. They'll start with the ball.
Yeah, and the Panthers have really traveled well. As you said, only about 100 miles separating these two teams. And they've really came to support the LaGrange Panthers here at Valhalla Stadium. And now, LaGrange had that first drive where they were able to really sustain it for 8 minutes, or nearly 8 minutes. They're going to look to do that here with just under 6 minutes to play. They can almost go 2 for 1 here and go into halftime with a 2-score lead.
Broadnax drops back. They'll run the screen pass now as it'll scamper forward. Michael Hayes, the starting running back. That's the first time we've called his name today. Gets a gain of 5.
Yeah, and he's really dynamic out of the backfield. He likes to run a lot of swing concepts. He will also run the screen, as you saw there, but has 161 receiving yards coming into this one on 12 catches. He's also comparable as a runner as well, as 146 attempts for 670 yards coming into this one.
As Hayes stays in the backfield with Broadnax. Hayes takes the handoff. This time he's got some room to run.
Ooh, man, he got bent back that time as he had a Viking on his back, and he had one hitting him at the head, as I believe that was Aaron Horton. Made the big hit.
It'll be enough to move the chains there. Like you said, took the big hit. The LaGrange faithful wanted a flag on that one, saying it was a little bit after the whistle. They might have had a case.
Yeah, and Horton, the one who delivered that hit, really a guy we haven't seen so far this season. Really his first action, the 6'1 junior from Lawrenceville, Georgia. And he lays a big hit to start off his season there.
First down by LaGrange. LaGrange is challenging a targeting call on the field. The play is under further review.
Wow, and there, LaGrange wants to review if that was targeting or not on Horton. Again, that was a really big hit. Like you said, it might have been after the knee was down, so the officials will go and take a look at it.
As they're going to take a review, and we'll take a short break as well and come back with the results of this review. after the review break, no foul for targeting that they could find on that last collision. So LaGrange will lose a timeout because they challenged it. As it's now 1st down and 10 after the pickup still.
And like we said before the break, LaGrange with a chance to really take this game by the horns if they're able to get points and turn this one into a 2-score ball game.
As Broadnax back to take the snap. He'll fake the handoff, run it himself. Good coverage there by the Vikings, as that was next one pursued by Pickett, who is left alone with Broadnax and makes it 2nd down and 10.
Yeah, Pickett has really come into his own over the course of this season, earned himself a spot on the All-SAA honorable mention squad, has 22 tackles coming into this one, now 23, and also had 7 pass breakups coming into this one as well. And now this is a situation where the Vikings just have to get a stop. They have to dig their heels in, maybe send some pressure at Broadnax, get him off his pivot a little bit.
Yeah, we haven't seen him bring it a whole lot, as they were ready for the run that time. They'll give him a very generous spot.
Yeah, that's a nice job by Dawson Livingston, able to shed a block and then go attack the ball carrier. And he just continues to do it year in and year out for the Vikings.
As now a big 3rd down for the Vikings, trying to get off the field here with about 3.5 minutes left to go in the half.
Yeah, at the bottom of your screen, you're going to have Ashton Bryant working against Aaron Horton. So keep an eye on that matchup.
As they're looking downfield, and a great play by Gian Trevarzo, closing the distance to break that one up. Beautiful timing on that one as well.
That's what Trevarzo is known for. He is known to find unsuspecting receivers, and he is going to go put a hat on a hat and make a play. A nice job by Trevarzo that time.
And that's a tough play for a safety, because if you're too early on that one, you get called for pass interference. If you're too late, that's a catch. Able to time it perfectly to break that one up legally and get the Vikings defense off the field here.
Yeah, and Trevarzo, unlike a lot of safeties at the college level, he understands how to pace himself. When he sees an opportunity to go and make a big play, he's going to wait it out to ensure that he doesn't get called for a penalty.
Lions back to return for the Vikings. And a flag is down all the way back by Lions.
Prior to expiration of the play clock. Timeout.
As they'll have to use one of their timeouts to avoid the delay a game penalty. As Aaron, the Vikings coming back onto the field on offense, if all goes according to plan, what do you want to see from them in order to get things going?
And they just have to be more sound in their mechanics. Specifically, Christian Lewis has to be more sound in his decision-making when he is trying to push the ball downfield. He has to read the eyes of the defenders, try to manipulate them into a position that they don't want to go into, and then attack the open spots and get your playmakers in space. He's still trying to find his rhythm working against his secondary. As we said, this secondary is maybe one of the best secondaries that the Vikings have faced all season in Jaden Sanders, Deion King Jr., Tavares Simmons, Legend Doggett, who we've called out a number of times, Stoudemire. These guys are deep. They have a lot of different guys that can go out and make big-time plays on the back end. So Lewis just has to settle in and find a comfort zone in those 3rd and long, 2nd and long situations.
Absolutely is. The team's back taking the field. Lions still back to return for the Vikings. He's been a dynamic returner all year for the Vikings team.
Yeah, the Vikings still waiting on that signature drive to be able to push the ball all the way downfield, get it into the red zone, and bring out that red zone package with Andrew Hunter and be able to push the ball into the end zone. Again, 16 rushing touchdowns, among the leaders in the nation in rushing touchdowns is Andrew Hunter.
Coming off the left side now is Cade Petty, who leads the country in blocked kicks, as he's always somebody you've got to be aware of. As this one spirals, bounces right over the 50-yard line. A flag is down, as it takes a good LaGrange roll all the way to the 20-yard line. As we'll wait and see what the flag is for.
That was a nice job by number 76, William Benjamin. He was the one who got the block on Petty to prevent him from being able to put pressure on the punter.
During the kick, holding, receiving.
another Viking penalty. It'll be holding. So it'll move that spot back a little further.
Yeah, and now it's essentially a 2-minute drill. Obviously 2 minutes and 55 seconds on the clock, but really a 2-minute drill here for the Vikings. We'll see if they're able to execute, make some big plays downfield. They'll have Sykes lining up in the backfield behind Christian Lewis.
Yeah, Sykes a little bit more their pass catcher running back. Can be a receiving threat a little bit more than Rogers, but the Vikings still with 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. As they'll start with a handoff to Sykes here, who gets a handful of yards on that one.
First play to open the drive.
It's an interesting play call there on first down for the Vikings.
Wells was there to make the stop. That was a gain of 3. Second down and 7.
Vikings not exactly in the hurry up, but not wasting time between snaps either, as Lewis back under center. At least Sykes remaining in the backfield.
Yeah, again, LaGrange just loading the boxes. Christian Lewis nearly dropped the football. He was able to fall on it, but almost disaster there for the Vikings. It'll set up 3rd and long.
Yeah, it looks like he just got caught up in his center's feet, and that's something you always got to watch out for when your backup center comes in and kind of throws off the rhythm a little bit. As we approach the 2-minute warning here, as now a true 2-minute drill coming up for the Vikings with a big 3rd down here to not give the ball back to LaGrange and let them run a 2-minute drill. So we'll take a quick break here and be right back for the last bit of action of this first half. Back after the 2-minute timeout. The Vikings looking to make something happen here on 3rd down and 8. As Lewis drops back looking for a receiver, and it's Cam Coleman with the diving grab.
How about Cam Coleman coming from the outside that time on the in-breaking route, getting into the teeth of that LaGrange zone defense, and a great delivery that time from Lewis as well.
That penalty on the LaGrange secondary was declined by the Vikings. They'll take the result of the play.
And again, LaGrange crowding that line of scrimmage, showing this offensive line as many bodies as possible.
As gets it out quickly right back to Coleman, and Coleman does a good job getting out of bounds. So the Vikings driving down the field, 2 first down passes in a row from Lewis.
How about Lewis standing in against this pressure, taking a hit and delivering a strike?
Yeah, LaGrange, one of the leaders in sacks across the entirety of Division III with 40 this year, averaging almost upwards of 3.5 a game. As we knew they'd be getting after the quarterback, and now Andrew Hunter in for the Vikings. Fresh look, and it's going to be a false start on the Vikings.
Yeah, and this is the first time that the Vikings are seeing this many bodies up on the line of scrimmage consistently today. So they're having to adjust their offensive line, maybe a little bit jittery, seeing that many white-colored jerseys coming at you.
Yeah, and like you said, just not used to the amount of bodies and just kind of mental errors on this offensive line for the Vikings. You have two good things going in a row, and now you kind of back yourself up, kill a little bit of momentum, and Christian Lewis back in the game instead of Hunter.
Brendan Gray and Kamari Smith at the top of your screen with Nate Lyons and Bryce Herring at the bottom. Rogers in the backfield.
As there's more questions on the LaGrange sideline. We'll see. Not sure what the confusion could be about. As the ref's still having a conversation on what is happening. A lot of standing around so far in this first half.
They're going to say since Lewis's helmet came off on that previous play, they're going to rule that that happened in the course of the play. So that means Andrew Hunter's going to have to stay on the field.
So the dead ball does not erase the fact that Lewis had to sit out of play, and head coach Tony Konchesky, who has shedded the vest that he started the game with, is now not too happy with that call, as we see him now only in the sweatshirt, no vest anymore. The visor, the next piece to go for Konchesky if things continue on this path.
And now you got one-on-one at the bottom of your screen, Doggett against Herring.
As Hunter finds his receiver, a good gain for the Vikings. Kamari Smith hauls it in. Hunter still a competent passer, so nothing too much to worry about with the Vikings as they get to the line of scrimmage quickly now. 1:08 left to play. Vikings running the 2-minute drill. Hunter looks to pass again. Nowhere to go as Hunter's brought down the first sack of the game. And the Vikings are going to call a timeout, it looks like.
Yeah, and Hunter had his eyes too far downfield. He had Nate Lyons wide open. Would have been across his body, would have been a makeable pass for him. Instead, it's fourth down.
As the Vikings take a timeout with 1 minute left to play here, trying to run the 2-minute drill. As now it brings up 3rd and 11 for the Vikings, a big play here. Because if you, obviously you're probably going to look to pass it. If it falls incomplete, you're now looking at 4th and 11. The clock stops and you have to punt it away to a LaGrange team that's been in a rhythm on offense.
Yeah, you got to try to find a way to pick up this first down. Whether you really got to get your receivers going. We're yet to see Kamari Smith or Bryce Herring really break out for a nice game. We've seen what Nate Lyons and Brendan Gray can do, but those guys that they like to utilize on the outside have to get going.
Yeah, Brendan Gray's only reception taken away due to offensive pass interference. The other one he dropped over the middle uncharacteristically. I'd like to see him go back to him. He could be a real deep threat for the Vikings. Or Cam Coleman now on the top of your screen.
Yeah, Cam Coleman is really a threat. Mostly in the play-action game. They won't go play-action this time with an empty backfield, but Coleman is a guy out of the slot. He's a big body. They're going to move him to the outside, but he can really do damage over the middle.
As he'll have Doggett on him. A tough matchup for both. As Lewis escapes the pocket, has nowhere to go, and just shovels it forward. Avoids the sack. And now
Christian Lewis scrambling off to his left.
Lewis lost his helmet again. It went all the way to the track on the LaGrange sideline.
Tops the pocket, 52 seconds.
And now LaGrange with a prime opportunity to, like we said, turn this game on its head a little bit. Take a 2-score lead heading into halftime and really stun the Vikings and take the crowd out of the game, more importantly.
And bring their own crowd in. They've got plenty of bodies filling those bleachers on the other side. And they've made their presence felt today, making it feel like a true neutral site game almost.
Yeah, they are in full effect, standing room only on the visitor side of the stadium.
As Hamby back to punt for the Vikings. They'll need a good one out of him. And another flag is down. As false start called on Carver Cole. Backs it up 5 more yards.
That is an interesting call. It looks like the Vikings are arguing that they were just adjusting their split behind the line of scrimmage and that they're allowed to do that, but instead the official rules in favor of the away team, or excuse me, the Panthers.
Hamby gets the punt away. This one end over end. And a decent punt there for Hamby fielded. And now it'll be LaGrange's offense taking over at the 35-yard line with 46 seconds and 1 timeout. A big piece of that is they lost one of their timeouts due to that challenge. They would have had 2, but instead had to burn it because they lost the challenge for targeting.
Yeah, now if you're Henry Broadnex, you want to be able to push the ball downfield, but you cannot make a mistake against this Viking secondary and allow them to turn this ball over. This has got to be a drive that either you get yourself into field goal range or you take advantage of a big play downfield and set yourself up in the red zone. Don't try to gamble in the intermediate and quick game and give up something easy for the Vikings.
So this Vikings defense comes out. They know what's at stake here as Broadneck's trying to go fast. Not Broadneck's. As
Scott in the open field, 1 man to beat. And he is taken down, but what a play by Scott. And they continue to feed this young man the football.
Kirk Scott's been the answer for LaGrange all day as he breaks off another big run. Dragged down enough for Murray to get after him and bring him down after a huge gain for the Panthers.
Yeah, this offensive line is really getting to it as Trenton Harrison and Jacob Dye really controlling the interior of this offensive line for the Panthers alongside Will Nailey as well.
36 seconds left here as LaGrange approaches the red zone.
And now they're going to have Michael Hayes in the backfield. Stillwell, their tight end, is going to line up as well. You'll have his fellow tight end in the game as well, but not before timeout.
As LaGrange will take their last time out, and that complicates things going forward. That means they'll have to get to the sideline or get up to the ball fast to clock it with 36 seconds left. Not a lot of room for error without any timeouts left.
Yeah, but that is just a huge play from Kirk Scott to set up this drive for the Panthers. They're now driving into Viking territory with a chance to, like we said, make this a 2-score ball game, and that really changes the ideology of the coaching staff for the Vikings going into the half.
Yeah, this is not a position the Vikings thought they were going to be in, quite honestly, as they find themselves down at least 1 score, could be 2, going into halftime against a team that you shut out last time, and you got to imagine some of that's playing into the mistakes as well, with them just being unsure of what's going on. As LaGrange has done a great job changing up looks, giving the Vikings something new. The Vikings haven't been able to really answer on defense. Haven't come up with a big play on the interception where they'd go 3 and out. As Broadnax now looks deep, and that one
It's going to be
is
picked off.
Chaz Pope gets another one, toe tap on the sideline, and exactly what the Vikings needed, but backed up on the goal line. They're going to need a couple good rushes to get into halftime.
Yeah, but what did we say before the drive?
Pope.
What did we say before the drive? They have to be able to control the football. Broadnax took a shot downfield, was looking for Stillwell, and if Stillwell would have kind of settled in on the intermediate part of the field, he would have been wide open, but instead he tried to go for the deep ball, and Chaz Pope is all over it. The team leader in interceptions now with 4 on the season.
Yeah, adds another one to his list. First team all-conference safety. Has been absolutely hawking the ball, but the Vikings not out of the woods yet on the 2-yard line. Have some work to do to get out of the half. They just have to take a knee, and they'll push forward with Lewis to give him some breathing room. And they'll likely let the clock run down here
Gets it out of the end zone.
As that will bring an end to the first half. The Vikings find themselves trailing 14-8 as Lewis loses his helmet again. It's a special delivery from the offensive line as the Vikings are going to have to make some adjustments in halftime in order to figure this one out. LaGrange up 14-8. We'll be right back. Or we'll throw it down to our sideline reporter, Jonah Hatchett, in a couple minutes here, as you won't want to miss that one, as we'll go down to him in a few minutes. And now we'll throw it down to our
Thanks,
sideline
guys.
reporter,
Now,
Jonah
obviously, less than ideal first half there for Barry. Coach K, pregame, was talking about how LaGrange this season has been one of the most penalized teams in the entirety of the NCAA. And this half has quite honestly been a reverse of that. So, obviously, in this second half for Barry, they're going to try to eliminate those penalties and get the offense going. One of the worst nights of offensive production for this Vikings offense as well. For LaGrange, on the other hand, pretty fantastic game this year, coming back from that 43-0 defeat from the Vikings earlier this season. It looks like a completely different team. We were unable to get Coach Dodson for comment here on the second half, but coming out of halftime, we will have Coach K's interview, and we'll be right back for that. Thanks, guys. Back to you.
And coming back after halftime here, we'll go throw it down to our sideline reporter, Jonah Hatchett, with Coach Konchesky.
They're on the headset. They're just talking. All right. Thanks, guys. I'm here with Barry head coach Tony Konchesky. Coach, will you walk us through your message to the team at halftime, please?
Yeah, I mean, I give credit to the other team. I mean, LaGrange is coming out here ready to play, and they're doing a great job, and we have too many penalties on offense and defense, and, you know, we're too many self-inflicted wounds. So hopefully we can minimize that in the second half and be ready to go.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Back to you guys.
And back here after the halftime break, the Vikings find themselves in a little bit of a deficit here. LaGrange on top 14-8. As we just heard there from head coach Tony Konchesky on what his team has to do. He said, you know, give credit to LaGrange. They've executed well so far, but the Vikings have left things on the table, left some plays out there perhaps, as they'll look to refocus and take advantage here in the second half, as they will get the ball to start here in the second half.
Yeah, and really the Vikings are just going to have to stick to their game plan, what they've done all season. No need to change things up just because they're facing a halftime deficit. They just have to be able to weather the storm, make the right play, settle for singles, and keep pushing the ball down the field offensively.
Yeah, and it looks like the Vikings came off a bye the way they played that first half. A little bit slow, a little bit sluggish out of the gates, as they'll have the opportunity to turn that around after what I'm sure was a rousing halftime speech by the coaching staff urging them to refocus.
Yeah, and if you're Coach Dotson for LaGrange, you just want to keep your guys even keel. Obviously, this is a huge momentum shift for them to have a lead going into halftime, but they've got to come out defensively with the same intensity that they did in the first half.
As we'll take a quick look at the bracket here, as looking at the other game right now in the second quarter, Trinity is up 14-7 versus Hardin-Simmons. Obviously, this game here, LaGrange up 14-8. So two close games on this side of the bracket as we get ready for kickoff here at Mount Berry, Georgia.
Yeah, always the best time of the year with the college football D3 tournament.
The real college football playoffs.
Yeah, real college football playoff down here at Mount Berry, Georgia, and we've got a good one. The LaGrange has really turned up the heat since that first matchup with the Vikings earlier on this season. They've changed up a lot of things that they do offensively, and they found ways to exploit this very defense.
As it's a short kick, very returnable here, as the Vikings got some room to run. It's Warrington with it, as he gets down to the 50. And it's going to be a late hit. Warrington with a big return, tack on 15 extra.
Yeah, and that was Austin Harris and Jesse Bell, I believe, or Denver Comstock on that tackle. That's going to lead to an extra 15.
So Warrington fields the short kick and able to reverse fields with a big return. So starts off with excellent field position for this Vikings offense that's looking to get back on track, and it doesn't get a whole lot better than this. So they will get it at the 30-yard line to start.
Yeah, you have to come away with points here if you're the Vikings.
As Lewis under center with Rogers behind him.
You do not start on the opposing team's 35 every day, but a nice job by the interior of this LaGrange defensive line again.
As Rogers unable to find any daylight on that carry.
LaGrange has done a great job being able to plug in those gaps in between the tackles and not allow Rogers to break free to the second level. Outside of a couple times today, Rogers has been pretty quiet.
As it'll be a loss of a yard on that last run. Lewis fakes the handoff. Flag on the play. Rogers breaks out. He's down at the 10-yard line awaiting the result of the flag.
Lewis rolling to his left, completes to Josh Rogers.
And based on the reaction of this Vikings bench, it looks like it's going against the Vikings, an illegal formation versus Barry.
Yeah, quarterbacks coach Max James was livid on the sideline for the Vikings, just imploring Christian Lewis to be better and command this offense.
So makes it 2nd down and long. They'll replay 2nd down. It'll negate a big gain by Josh Rogers and send the Vikings offense backpedaling a little bit.
Yeah, and that's something that they have to capitalize, is these penalties that are thwarting really big plays that they've been able to generate, but they're walking back instead of forward.
A screen play to Lyons as he's got room to run, but barely brought down there. A great tackle there. Treveris Simmons able to wrap him up before it looked like Lyons was going to have a path to daylight.
Yeah, that's a touchdown saving tackle that time from Simmons. As you said, it looked like the receiver was going to have a chance at pay dirt, but instead it's 3rd and long.
So brings in Andrew Hunter with 3rd down and 8. So a little bit longer than what he's used to. You got to imagine the Vikings, if they get anywhere close, are going to go for it. They're going to hand it off to Sykes. Sykes racing to the pylon. Stutter steps, gets him to bite. Touchdown, Vikings. Sykes puts on the move.
My goodness. We talked about that ankle injury that he's nursing earlier on. He looks good as can be there, able to start and stop to perfection and get past a Panther on the way to the end zone. Studemeyer didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, if Studemeyer makes it to film on Monday, that one's going to be a tough one to rewatch a bunch of times because Sykes put him on skates there.
Yeah, it's really tough to bring down Sykes in the open field, and we see why on that one.
Just what the doctor ordered for the Vikings, getting back to that run game as they caress 100 yards on the ground, and Richards will try to poke in the extra point. Lewis does a good job getting the hold down after the ball skips off the turf. Sure-handed quarterback is always a nice thing to have.
Yeah, both teams elect to go with their quarterbacks as the placeholders for these extra points. There's no better person on the team to be able to handle those snaps.
So we'll take another look at that. Sykes just freezing the defender and winning that race to the pylon as Sykes just absolutely delivers when the Vikings needed that. So the Vikings back with a 1-point lead.
And Sykes kind of the 3-down back for this offense. Obviously, we've talked about the electric ability of Josh Rogers, but Colby Sykes is really the workhorse of this Viking offense, and they are fortunate to have him in the lineup despite that ankle injury.
As Richards getting ready to boot this one away.
Aaron Bryant and Dagaris Bozeman stand back to return for the Panthers.
As Richards just boots this one out the back of the end zone for a touchback.
And again, special teams is being very physical on both sides. This time, no flags, no dirty laundry on the field. So both teams get away unscathed.
Good kick there by Richards out the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
Got the wind at his back a little bit.
Oh, yeah, all-conference kicker. He's coming into this game with a lot of confidence.
As LaGrange will have a chance to answer here with their first possession of the second half. They've been efficient on offense so far, and it's really all started with Kurt Scott, the alternate quarterback. I don't want to say backup because he's gotten some very meaningful snaps and made the most of it, but kind of that alternate look for LaGrange as he's been the catalyst of this offense. As it'll be a handoff to start for a gain of 5 yards with Broadnax in at quarterback, and now Scott comes in for second and medium.
Yeah, and it's been a healthy dose of Bozeman and Scott, and they complement each other well out of the backfield with the speed of Scott and the combination of speed and power from Bozeman.
And we'll get a flag early on this play. As it looks like they broke the huddle with 12 men. So that'll back them up. LaGrange, like our sideline reporter Jonah Hatchett mentioned at the break, one of the most penalized teams in the country. Out of 241 teams, LaGrange ranks 240th. The only team beating them is Farmington State, who LaGrange beat last week. As another good run, but the Vikings able to sniff it out.
Yeah, nice job by Carver Cole and Brooks Thompson identifying the quarterback run and attacking the football and making that play. Broadnax back into the game for this 3rd and 5. And you gotta watch out for Stillwell in the slot. Big number 18 at the bottom of your screen.
So a huge 3rd down early in the second half as the Vikings kind of have all the momentum on their side. Broadnax drops back looking for that receiver right up the seam again. They've hit that route the 3rd time now. The Vikings unable to cover it up.
Yeah, Colby Crawford this time sneaking into that seam. Again, the area behind the linebackers but ahead of the secondary is where the Vikings have really struggled in this game, and Broadnax is going to continue to attack that area.
So a good conversion there for the Panthers. Gets it out to the Barry 43-yard line. And Kirk Scott in at quarterback. As LaGrange is going to have to burn a timeout there with the substitutions. Play clock winding down, and that's an early timeout burn there in a close game right now. That could be crucial down the stretch, but either way, we'll take a quick break as well as the Vikings reclaim the 15-14 lead.
One in 3 student athletes have experienced betting-related harassment. Root for your team. Get crazy when the buzzer sounds, but don't harass anyone because you lost a bet. Help the NCAA draw the line and end the abuse. Visit ncaa.org/draw-the-line.
Back here after the break as LaGrange lined up on 1st down here with Scott in the backfield. He'll weave through traffic, slippery, as he's able to get his way through a couple of tackles.
Kaz Pope was there on the tackle for the Vikings.
They'll stay with Scott here on 2nd down. Obviously, Coach Wes Dodson has been really pleased with what he's seen out of his freshman quarterback today. Richmond Hill, Georgia native, has been a huge difference maker in this one.
As Scott will stay in, alone in the backfield. We haven't seen him pass a whole lot.
Yeah, only attempted 8 passes coming into this one. Oh, my goodness.
Lewis gets after him in a hurry. He's still not down. As the Vikings want intentional grounding. As they'll huddle up and talk, Ben Brookshire wants the intentional grounding. He was the first to call it, as I don't know how Lewis got in the backfield that fast.
Yeah, that was a big-time pressure from Lewis, as he was able to just blast through this LaGrange offensive line. They did not expect the blitz that time. They're going to rule that was not intentional grounding, as Crawford was in the area, and they're going to say the ball crossed the line of scrimmage as well.
There are some people that don't agree with that call that have made their opinions known. But it'll remain 3rd down and 7 as the Vikings defense looking to come up with a big stand here early on in the second half. Broadnax back in at quarterback for a little bit more of an obvious passing down. He'll drop back. He has pressure. Petty gets there. Petty with the sack.
Yeah, and that's something that LaGrange has really struggled with offensively is delayed blitzes. You're going to see Cade Petty wait just a split second, and here he comes, right around the center and in for the sack.
And nowhere to go there. So that was another good job helped by Alex Mincy to just contain Broadnax. Nowhere to go, and Petty able to get the job done. And now he'll stay on the field for, like we said, he leads the country in blocked kicks. Looking to see if he can make a special play on special teams.
Yeah, you can never forget about the dangerous returner back there, Nate Lyons. He's been a factor game in and game out.
As this one, Lions will call for the fair catch right at the 11-yard line. And the defense comes up with a big stop for the Vikings, exactly what you wanted coming out of halftime for Barry.
Yeah, exactly. But a nice punt by LaGrange to keep the Vikings within their own 20-yard line as they'll set up shop really around the 13-yard line, it looks like.
So it'll be Lewis now with a lot of field ahead of him.
Yeah, and LaGrange is going to continue to crowd the line of scrimmage, try to make Barry make an uncharacteristic play.
As Lewis looking downfield, Kamari Smith. I don't know how that isn't a flag. He was tugging on the back of Smith's jersey the entire way down the field.
Yeah, it looked like Smith and Doggett were being physical downfield, but it looked like Smith was able to get a step on Doggett, and Doggett just held on for dear life.
As that one, a big no call there by the officiating crew. It'll be a handoff to Rogers, trying to find some daylight. He loses the football. It's out and falls out of bounds. The Vikings dodge a bullet there.
What a break for the Vikings, because that ball spins ever so more slowly. LaGrange is walking in for a touchdown as they're going to send in a demolition derby and Andrew Hunter and Jake Turner.
Another uncharacteristic miscue for this Vikings offense as they've just been struggling to find a rhythm today.
Yeah, they're going to go with trips at the bottom of your screen. It'll be interesting to see if they try to make this a more manageable fourth down. They will.
As Hunter just nowhere to run. As it seems like LaGrange has been the first team this year to figure out.
Yeah, they're just daring the Vikings to throw the football downfield, and that has really stifled this Viking attack. They're used to teams just playing a generic front and kind of allowing them to run the football effectively on the interior. LaGrange has simply said, no, we're going to make you throw the ball downfield, and the Vikings are yet to prove that they can do so.
So Hamby punting out of the end zone for the second time today. Not a place you want to become familiar with if you're a punter.
And this has to be blocked well by the Vikings special teams unit.
End over end punt going towards Scott. It'll take a great Vikings bounce inside the 35-yard line, or it'll be right outside the 35-yard line. So a good punt there by Hamby to flip the field a little bit on LaGrange and give his defense a shot.
And now another opportunity for this LaGrange offense to come out and try to regain the lead. As we'll see if they come out with Broadnax or Scott to start this drive.
Yeah, the Vikings defense that last possession looks like they've adjusted well here in the second half, coming out of halftime with some adjustments on those kind of delayed blitz like we saw Petty. We saw that a couple times, including on the one where the Vikings wanted intentional grounding. So look to carry that into this second possession here.
Yeah, LaGrange is going to have to be better at recognizing those linebackers who are waiting just a split second to deliver that pressure. They've got to be hip to that and be able to rotate their hips and get their hands on those linebackers.
It's a reverse, a little bit of trickery as Broadnax nowhere to go with it as
How about Drayshawn Stevens taking an offensive lineman with him on the way to the football for the tackle? Big time play.
He just dragged Chastain with him.
Wow.
As Chastain held on for dear life on a pretty obvious hold, but like you said, Stevens still delivers the boom with an offensive lineman draped over him.
Yeah, that is a big-time play by Drayshawn Stevens. Possibly a momentum-changing play, just the effort that he had to deploy to make it.
So a big tackle for loss there as Broadnax takes the snap. It'll be a generic handoff this time, but some room to run there as Michael Hayes busts out a big run.
Yeah, it's the first time we're going to see Michael Hayes run between the tackles. That time it's been mostly Bozeman in between the tackles and Hayes on the outside, but that time Hayes proves that he can run in between as well.
So gets over midfield for LaGrange. One of the keys to this Vikings defense, bend, don't break. Test them in the red zone. LaGrange team that struggles with finishing drives this year. As another run, this time Hayes gets to the outside. And a flag on the Vikings side. It's going to be interesting to see who this is against. Some extracurriculars there on the sideline.
Yeah, because it looked like, I believe that was number 5. Aaron Bryant might have pulled down Pickett. And we'll see what the call is.
Because Pickett landed on top,
Exactly.
It's a tough, in real time especially, to see that he was pulled down. So we'll see what the call is. It looks like they've come to a decision.
After the play, we have offsetting unsportsmanlike conduct.
And that's the old saying. When you have a situation like that, they're always going to catch the second guy. It's going to be offsetting penalties. Now, if Pickett just stands up normally and kind of puts his hands up, maybe we have a different ruling. But because he got up with such aggression after he was frustrated that he was pulled down, that's going to be offsetting penalties.
So a tough break for the Vikings. You could hear the Vikings crowd react to it as they watched exactly what we said, their guy get dragged down. And so it'll be first down and 10 for LaGrange, and Scott back into the game for the Panthers. Vikings showing a little bit of pressure here, as they'll make Scott work for that 1 yard, as things getting a little chippy now.
How about big Michael Clark, though, able to get off of his nose tackle position and then spin back to the outside to be able to come out and make that tackle.
That's a gross move.
Yeah.
Somebody that large should not be able to move like that, but Michael Clark is one of the most agile players on that defensive line.
That's why, in my opinion, he's earned the nickname the Majestic Bear, is what I like to call him. He's always on his toes and able to move almost like a ballerina on that line of scrimmage.
Broadnax back into the game. Or sorry, that's still Scott. As Stevens drags him down. Stevens just held on for dear life on that one and waited for help to arrive.
Yeah, Drayshawn Stevens missed the first matchup with an injury, but he is back in full effect today, really stopping Kurt Scott in his tracks. And that's
Johnson
been hard to
able
do.
to help finish up the job and makes it third down and 10. We've seen LaGrange convert a couple long third downs today, hoping the Vikings defense can get a stop here and diagnose their issues.
And now the Viking crowd starting to get back into it here.
Broadnax drops back, more delayed pressure. Still not down as Broadnax scampers forward for a first down. What a play there by the quarterback.
How about Broadnax on that one? Was able to somehow shake the linebacker and then get to the second level. Wow.
It looks like they had him dead to rights 3 separate times, but Broadnax, not the quarterback known for using his legs on that LaGrange sideline, able to get the first down.
Yeah, that really galvanizes this LaGrange offense, seeing their quarterback, their leader, pretty much put their body on the line to be able to pick up that first down. Got to believe they're hyped up.
So now it'll bring in Scott. He'll run the RPO. gets spun forward
Kurt Scott spinning his way forward.
as a flag well beyond the play. And the ball is out. The Vikings have the ball. It's signaled towards the Viking. Chaos on the field.
Yeah, our eyes shifted to that extracurricular activity that was going around the 30-yard line. Meanwhile, the Vikings were taking away the football.
As we'll go take another look at that in a second. But like you said, we were watching what looked like a high school wrestling match at the 30-yard line between Johnson and O-lineman. All of a sudden, the Vikings have the football. What a play there by the Vikings. It was Gian Traverso emerging from the pile with the ball, and that was just a chaotic couple of minutes there. But the Vikings defense stands strong in the red zone. Exactly what we said, bend, don't break. As LaGrange leaves some points on the board for sure there. As Lewis rolls out, a quick pass out to Gray. He's got blocks. Gray sprinting forward to the 35-yard line on a good first down gain of 15 yards for the senior receiver.
Yeah, great play design by the Vikings coaching staff that time to go to the play action, get Lewis out on a naked bootleg, and then have an easy read for him outside to Brendan Gray.
And that's what you want to see the Vikings offense get back to, get the ball in their playmakers' hands in space. They have a lot of talent, a lot of speed in that receiver room. Just see if they can get creative with getting the ball to some of those playmakers.
Yeah, got to find a way to be creative against this loaded box.
There's another way as Herring gets outside. It looks like it'll barely be short of the first down, but like you said, Aaron, when they're running that flying V and kind of stacking the box any way you can get outside with some speed, as you see Herring do it there, as we will take a minute here as we have an offensive lineman for Barry down.
That's
And
Marcus Head on the ground. He is the second-string center who has stepped in and been a reliable option, but he is down and in some pain.
so we'll take a minute here and step away as they give some attention to him, as we have the Stag Bowl, what it's all building towards in Canton, Ohio this year, January 4th. What the bracket will lead to as we look to crown another national champion this year out in Canton, as it looks like Head's able to get up and walk off on his own power, but he'll have to come out for a play at least. Makes it 2nd down and 1 now.
Yeah, it looks like they're doing a quick concussion protocol over there on the sideline with Marcus Head.
Second down and 1 for Barry.
As this handoff to Rogers, a little bit of an awkward handle there, nowhere to go.
So I believe Christian Bell is on the field as we get some more extracurricular laundry on the field. So now it looks like Marcus Head is back into the game at center for the Vikings as we sort out this penalty.
After the play, personal foul. Defense, number 96.
And it'll go against LaGrange, another after-the-play personal foul team, as LaGrange starts to look like the most penalized team in America once more here in the second half.
And yeah, the Panthers are just making it a point to play through the whistle on every single play, and it's worked out for them to this point, but when you get a little bit overzealous, you leave yourself susceptible to those post-play penalties.
So a fresh set of downs for the Vikings and 15 yards tacked on because of the personal foul, as Lewis adjusts at the line here. Fakes the handoff, looking for Warrington, who's open. As Eli Warrington hauls it in, called his name for the big kickoff return earlier, but he gets on the stat sheet for a catch here.
Well, I tell you, Warrington is one of the most sure-handed receivers on this roster. Only had 6 coming into this one, but every time you see them target him, he gets those hands to his chest and is ready for the football every single time.
So the Vikings look to catch a little bit of a rhythm here now as the clock ticks down, 1:38 left to play here in this third quarter. Vikings knocking on the door of the red zone. Lewis fakes the handoff once more. A great block by Hunter Coleman, as that one just outside the range of Warrington as he was streaking towards the sideline.
That was a nice break that time from Warrington. Was able to get a little bit of separation against his defender towards the sideline, but it's a little bit too much mustard on it from Christian Lewis.
Yeah, and a good block there in the backfield by Hunter Coleman to give Lewis enough time to set his feet. Just misses the mark a little bit. Makes it 2nd down and 10. And it'll be Andrew Hunter in at quarterback now for the Vikings. 2nd down and 10. Hands off to Rogers. Tries to reverse field, but an excellent tackle there by the Panthers, as that was Javon Wells getting there, the 6 foot, 350-pound junior.
Yeah, he is a load to move on the interior of this LaGrange defensive line. Man, there's absolutely nothing you can do. If he's able to get his leverage on you, there's no way to counter that on the inside.
As it'll bring Lewis back in on the passing down here, 3rd down and long. You gotta imagine if the Vikings get it anywhere close to that 1st down marker, the offense stays on the field. As Lewis throws the screen pass to Cam Coleman. Coleman barely gets tripped up, but picks up the 1st down past the marker. A great play designed by the Vikings as we take another look.
Yeah, and they go to the screen play. They get blockers out in front. How about the big man getting to the outside? As that was number 77, Tyler Martin, and number 70, Bryson Hill. The big boys getting downfield and putting some blocks.
Keon Stoudemire saved a touchdown there, just barely getting to the legs of Coleman on a diving effort by the safety. A great play there by the junior. As we're in Andrew Hunter territory now in the red zone with him and Turner in the game. As Hunter drops back to pass. And now makes some magic happen, but the turf monster got to Turner as Hunter took a late hit there, but no call on the field. As LaGrange got away with one there, as that's the end of the 3rd quarter. We'll throw it down to our sideline reporter, Jonah Hatchett, for some insight.
Put your 4s in the air. 1 more to go, and the Vikings lead the Panthers 15.
Well, thanks, guys. As we head to the 4th quarter, this wind continues to blow, and it is sharp, I might add. As you saw there in the 3rd quarter, the temper's starting to flare, as this is not only a very big playoff game, but these two schools are only separated by a short 3-hour drive. So obviously a lot of competition, especially following the very large Berry win earlier in this season. The officials right here at this point in time really need to do a good job of taking control of the game. Do not allow for anybody to get hurt. Try to avoid any fights, and both sides need to step up their discipline. As this late in the season, especially with these playoff runs imminent for both teams, game's still anyone's game. You got to do a good job of maintaining control and restoring order. That's all I got. Back to you guys.
/ tickets and make a date with champions.
Thank you, Jonah, for those insights. Our sideline reporter, Jonah Hatchett, down in the middle of the action there. We commend his abilities. He said that wind was a little sharp, and it's definitely a little chilly down there. We've seen that have an effect on some of the kicks today with the punts, especially as the Vikings look to cash in here in the red zone. 2nd down and 10 now. They can get a 1st down right at the 12-yard line before scoring. Or sorry, that's the 7-yard line.
Yeah, you got to believe it's Andrew Hunter time.
As he does come back into the game. An empty backfield to start. We'll see if anyone motions.
I would assume Jake Turner's going to motion into the backfield. Here he comes.
And here comes Jake Turner right on cue, motioning into the backfield. As Hunter's going to follow his blocker. He's got a little bit of a lane as Hunter dives forward on a not-so-generous spot there.
I like that play design, though, from the Vikings to start Jake Turner on the outside as a receiver, make LaGrange have to compress that strong box that they love to run and make them react to Jake Turner motioning into the backfield. Nice play design there from Coach Konchesky.
Yeah, 3rd down and long here for the Vikings. The Vikings only 3 of 10 on 3rd down today, but 2 of 2 on 4th.
And again, the box is just loaded for the Panthers.
And Hunter able to spin out of trouble, splits the gap, and Hunter's going to get into the end zone. But there's a flag down. We'll see if this one comes back.
For the Vikings, 12 yards. But there's a flag on the play.
They'll talk about it here. As Hunter magically escaped pressure there. And it will be holding against the offense.
Yeah, that time Ronte Grady was held by number 59, Christian Bell. And Grady knew it from the beginning. He was pointing at the Viking sideline, holding his jersey, saying that one was coming back.
So it makes it 3rd down and about 15 now after Hunter thought he put 6 more on the board instead. There's work to be done here in the red zone for the Vikings.
That's kind of a demoralizing penalty because even if Christian Bell allows Grady to get away, is Grady going to have the speed to be able to catch up to Hunter in the open field as another flag flies?
As it looks like the Vikings broke the huddle with 12.
Wow. So an illegal substitution going on the Vikings, and that pushes them back 5 more.
So the Vikings coming today averaging 45 penalty yards a game as they eclipse 100 with that one right there.
That's a lot of real estate.
Yeah, it's hanging up even with the best of them like LaGrange and Farmington State in terms of penalties. As it makes it 3rd and 28. As it'll be a screen pass to Lyons. Lyons puts on the moves and gets it back relatively close. Now, this will be an interesting decision here. The Vikings up by 1 could make this at least a field goal needed. And it looks like Richards will come out to make this one a 4-point game.
The all-conference kicker, Trey Richards, coming in a big spot here for the Vikings. LaGrange will be looking to rush this one and put some pressure on Christian Lewis, the holder, and Richards.
A 31-yard kick now for Richards. As Richards up, and it's good. Richards remains a perfect 4 for 4 on kicks this year. As the Vikings claim a 4-point lead and makes LaGrange at least need a field goal in order, or at least a touchdown in order to take the lead in this one. A field goal doesn't do you a whole lot of good, gives your defense a little bit more breathing room. As we get down the stretch here, 13 and a half minutes left to play. As a great Vikings drive stalled out by penalties there. The Vikings, 12 penalties today, by far their season high. As it just looks like sloppy football coming off the bye.
Yeah, and I mean, a sloppy football game favors LaGrange. If it's not a clean football game, obviously Barry has not been known to give up a lot of penalty yards coming into this one, but LaGrange is used to playing in games where there's a lot of stoppages, a lot of penalties throughout, and they're able to sustain that and play through that, and they have so far. We'll see if they can respond on this drive.
So Richards will boot this one away. Aaron Bryant, who's mishandled one back there already as Richards kicks into the wind. This one well short of the 20-yard line as it's still bouncing up as a big collision. As what a play on special teams there.
And again, more extracurriculars after the plays. We'll get another look at it.
That kickoff just died. As then we got a big collision.
Wow.
As
Crawford has had a couple of those big plays today on special teams. He continues to come up big for the Vikings.
it looked like
I've never seen a football bounce quite that high.
Yeah, it bounced straight up, and you could see Bryant go into panic mode of, this is a live ball still, it's not a punt.
Exactly.
As you could see Richards' kick literally just stop midair and drop out of the sky. As the Vikings fans starting to rally behind their defense here, knowing that a stop could go a long ways. Some trouble with the clock right now. It looks like the Vikings want to delay a game call as the clock is at 0, but I'm not sure if it ever reset. As it will be a delay a game call. It marches LaGrange 5 yards back.
Yeah, miscommunication between Broadnax and his offensive coordinator that time.
As Broadnax gets his people in order now. Vikings looking to shut this down, but a tough run there.
And again, Broadnax just running through the tackles, running through the face of defenders, and just keeping those legs churning. A nice job.
As there's that offensive coordinator for LaGrange trying to get his team in the end zone to end this drive. And the final quarter of play here. Broadnax in the backfield has Bozeman with him.
Yeah, Bozeman has been terrific. They'll give it to him again.
As this time Livingston delivers the boom. Livingston's not the person I want to meet in the gap there.
Yeah, but how about the play from Brookshire that time to force Bozeman to go to the outside? His first read was to go between the tackles, but instead he saw Brookshire waiting for him in the hole and he had to redirect.
Yeah, Brookshire, one of the unsung heroes of this Vikings offense.
Now trips to the bottom of your screen. They'll motion the receiver to the bottom as well.
This time, the catch, it looks like it'll be just enough to move the chains. A generous spot.
Yeah, very generous spot on that one. But how about the play design to have a fake swing screen to the outside, and then you got Stillwell, the short-handed tight end, filling up the seam for a first down.
So enough to move the chains, keep this drive alive.
And I think Bozeman and Stillwell have to become a featured part of this LaGrange offense as they did in the first quarter. Instead, it's Hayes here taken down by, again, Livingston, just
a big
living
stop
in the backfield. As you're going to see him again just win the battle one-on-one, and he's able to shed that block and get to Hayes for a minimal gain.
Makes it 2nd down and 10. As this crowd once more coming alive for their team, really becoming a lot more involved here in the 4th quarter. Broadnax looking for the short pass out to Bozeman, and that one goes nowhere. Will Johnson, the tackle for loss. That was Bozeman out in the flat, and Johnson read it all the way, able to shed the blocker.
Well, I tell you, the 6'2" senior from Cornelius, North Carolina, coming up big. Now it's 3rd and 10 here for LaGrange. Gotta believe they're gonna look at Michael Stillwell. He's lined up in the slot at the bottom of your screen.
Vikings have to be cognizant of that seam route right up the middle. That one tipped at the line of scrimmage.
Miscommunication that time between Broadnax and Ashton Bryant. Ashton Bryant had already settled onto his route, while Broadnax thought he was going to continue to flatten out down the field.
It looks like that one was tipped at the line of scrimmage the way it popped up. As this will bring on the punting unit in a big swing for the Vikings if they can put some more points on the scoreboard here. Lions back to receive. He's inside the 15-yard line. As a short wobbler gets down right at the 36-yard line as a little bit more extracurriculars take place in the backfield on special teams, and it seems like special teams has just been the problem child of today for both teams.
Yeah, it sure has. Seems like every time that ball goes into the air off a punt or a kickoff, we're seeing pushing and shoving between the hands teams.
You know, once the calendar hits that late November time period, it just means a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
And even the special teams, as the Cows out in pasture, loving what they're seeing today so far as the Vikings hold on to a 4-point lead, and they're just grateful for the opportunity to watch some playoff football.
You're right about that one, partner. But now I think it's Andrew Hunter time, to say the least. Anytime the Vikings need a long, sustained drive, he is who they go to with Jake Turner on his hip.
As he's trying to get to the outside, makes a man miss and falls forward right towards maybe a yard past the line of scrimmage. I wouldn't mind seeing the Vikings take a shot here with Lewis back in the game.
Yeah, you haven't seen as much play action as you would hope out of this offense. That's really where they thrive, is when they're able to get that run game going. They set up the play action pass to guys like Cam Coleman and Kamari Smith on the outside, with Brendan Gray flattening out in the slot.
As I'm going to watch the go ball here on the far side.
For Rogers.
As Rogers had his man beat, and it's still a catch. Kamari Smith somehow hauled it in, but they're saying incomplete.
Wow. We're going to get another look at it. They ruled it incomplete, but you'll get another look at it. It looks like Smith was able to track that one down all the way to his backside. Wow.
We're talking about it now.
That's got to be a catch. We've got to be able to review it.
And it will be a catch. They get it right. As the concentration by Kamari Smith to haul that one in.
Man, that's a special play. That is a play that could define your college career that time for Kamari Smith, and he extends this drive for the Vikings.
You could see the immediate reaction of the Berry sideline.
Wow.
When they ruled that one incomplete initially, Coach K able to plead his case with the back judge. And after some conversation, Smith gets his catch, and what just a great play there by the receiver as Rogers takes it on the handoff now. Nowhere to go, but keeps the legs churning for an extra couple yards.
Handoff is to Josh Rogers.
Now that clock continues to tick. We're inside 8.5 minutes to play. And the Vikings are driving. LaGrange has to be able to dig their heels in and continue to bend but not break. As we said, was the key for the Vikings defensive unit. Now it's LaGrange that needs to do that as the Vikings near the red zone.
Lewis under center with Rogers behind him. As that's a big sack there by LaGrange. Lewis had nowhere to go. Deion King Jr. gets in the backfield.
Boy, I tell you, Deion King Jr., one of the leading tacklers on this LaGrange defense, only behind Shed Smith, but man, the 6'2 senior from Vienna, Georgia, just coming up big in a moment where LaGrange needed a spark.
That's 10.5 sacks for him at
Wow.
the safety position this year. Just a absolute wreaking havoc in the backfield. 19 tackles for loss now.
Yeah, and he's a game breaker, a guy that I thought we'd call more of his name today, but he still has 7.5 minutes to wreak havoc and try to get his offense another opportunity.
As this makes it 3rd down and 16.
And now if you're Christian Lewis, we've seen this at Valhalla before where the Vikings are pushed back in a 3rd and long situation with a minimal lead. You don't want to roll the dice unless you have an open receiver that you trust downfield. Do not uncork that ball and allow LaGrange to go and make a play on it.
As it'll be Kamari Smith at the top of your screen with Brendan Gray in the slot. And one of his favorite 3rd down targets, Cam Coleman, there at the bottom. It'll go immediately out to Coleman, not rolling the dice at all. Coleman gets chased down from behind, but makes it about 4th and 7. And kind of, like we said earlier, Aaron, no man's land a little bit. Wouldn't be surprised if the offense stays out.
Yeah, and they will. It's going to be Josh Rogers coming in for Colby Sykes. Just a moment ago, they sent out Josh Rogers to the outside to run a go ball, and they went to Smith for that miraculous catch instead.
Rogers goes out into the receiver position again.
So trips at the bottom of your screen with the tight end in the up back.
Lewis setting his feet in the pocket, plenty of time. He's going deep, has Gray just outside the arms, and the Vikings turn it over on downs. LaGrange's defense stands tall.
But not a bad decision that time from Lewis as he was looking for Kamari Smith. He put it in only a position that Smith could come up with the football. Instead, it falls harmlessly incomplete, and now you force LaGrange to have to drive it down.
Absolutely. The way your defense has played in the second half, you feel a little bit more comfortable going for that one on 4th down. But it still does give LaGrange excellent field position here at the 36-yard line. And we've seen sparks of greatness from them today.
Yeah.
Just haven't seen much sustain, so they're going to have to reignite that spark here.
Yeah, and this LaGrange crowd is ready to erupt if the Panthers can get something going offensively, as it'll be Scott to man the quarterback position to begin this drive.
Instead, it's a jet sweep. Gets it to the outside with some good speed. Still on his feet somehow, as that was Colby Crawford with a big run.
Wow, that is a statement run that time from Crawford. He's had himself a good ball game throughout, but no play better than this one right here. So he drags the Vikings down the field, finally brought down by Traverso.
Loses his helmet at the end, so he'll come out for a play. There he is there on the sideline, but like you said, a statement run there from your receiver on that jet sweep.
Yeah.
Just trying to find some space and get to the outside on this Vikings defense. That seemed to be the weakness for Barry today on those outside run plays.
Yeah, only 165, but he ain't running like it. I'll say that for sure.
Vikings dial up some pressure here as it's Scott escaping again. This time dragged down by Traverso on a good pursuit, but Scott was looking at some daylight there after he broke through that first level.
And again, we've seen this same exact play, and he hits the same exact hole as he did earlier on in this game, but a nice shot by Traverso to save a touchdown, and that's the risk that you run when you send the pressure. If you're not able to make contact with the quarterback, he's able to slip through that hole, and with his speed, it's going to be tough to bring him down.
Scott stays in. Vikings showing pressure again. He's got blockers in front of him. This time Scott brought down after a gain of 4 yards, but still a good run there for LaGrange. As Scott has really challenged this Vikings linebacker core that's had a fantastic year like we talked about in the open, but they've really had to work on their decision-making skills, their angles, and just being able to shed some blocks and get after the quarterback with the way Scott plays.
Yeah, and the Vikings facing a little bit of a dose of their own medicine. All year they have relied on Andrew Hunter to come in and spell Christian Lewis as that running quarterback and brings another dimension of the offense, and that's exactly what Scott is doing here for the Panthers.
Fakes the screen, and Scott's going to scamper again. This time the Viking defense doesn't bite, and it'll still be short of the first down. 3rd down and a lot more manageable 2 now for LaGrange.
And they're bringing in the big boy, Takars Bozeman, back into the game at running back, number 14 for LaGrange. We'll see if they hand it off to him or stay with Scott.
As 3rd down and 2 now. Like you said, Bozeman hasn't shied away from any contact today, just absolutely bruising on some of those runs.
Yeah, and the Vikings are going to have to get a surge and get a push up front. I got to look at big Michael Clark on the middle of this defense to be able to try to make it happen.
Scott's going to take it himself. He's got a hole. He's trying to get to the outside in pursuit, and a great tackle there. Not sure who that was for the Vikings, but a great job bringing Scott down. Makes it 1st down and 10. The 1st down at the 2-yard line, so LaGrange could still get a 1st down without finding their way into the end zone as the clock's ticking now as 3:40 left to play.
Yeah, that was Samari Madison on that tackle that time on the outside. Saved a touchdown once again, and now LaGrange is going to have to work out of the red zone. Broadnax back into the game.
As Michael Clark, the first Viking there in a hurry, as he blows some kisses there to the LaGrange faithful, letting them know that he's still in the game.
Yeah, look at the big man just plug the gap this time and win against number 78, Trenton Harrison, trying to keep him at bay, but Michael Clark all over it.
Yeah, Clark had an arm on the offensive lineman Harrison and an arm on the runner there and brought both of them down. Just some grown man strength there from Michael Clark. As Scott back into the game now for LaGrange, he'll take off. evades a tackler at first, but brought him down just a couple yards past the line of scrimmage. They'll give him a gain of 1.
We'll see if they stay with Scott here. Only, as we said, I believe 8 passes attempted coming into this one. So we'll see. They will stay with him instead of going back to Broadnax, their more pass-reliable quarterback.
A big 3rd down and 9 here.
Obviously 4th down territory here for the Panthers.
Field goal doesn't do them any good.
There's only 12 seconds left on the play clock.
Scott getting the signal. Scott looking a little confused, telling the play caller to hurry up. 5 on the play clock. They'll have to get to the line of scrimmage in a hurry, and they'll burn another timeout here as they couldn't get it down in time. It looks like the Panthers are ready for the snap, but the play call is just taking so long to get from the sideline.
Yeah, and that's an inexcusable error by both the quarterback and coaching staff to not be able to get that play in and ready to go. In this big of a moment, you have to have all your puppies in order and ready to go.
As 2:06 left to play with the timeout, LaGrange down to 1 timeout now after having to burn one early in the first half, like we said, could come down to being a big deal down the stretch, and here we are down the stretch, it being a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you only have 1 timeout to work with, so that field goal opportunity really goes out of the question because you don't have the ability to stop the clock of your own volition. So now, if you stay with Kirk Scott as a quarterback, the Vikings are going to completely key on the run. So we will see if they try to maybe catch the Vikings off guard with a pass over the top towards the end zone with Scott in the game.
Yeah, like you said, I believe with his pass today gets him to 9 passes on the season. But obviously a run-first quarterback like we've seen all day, and the Vikings have started to do a little bit better keying in on that as the Vikings faithful come to their feet. Scott back in the backfield. He'll get a man in motion coming across the formation, keeps it himself, and he is stopped well short of the line to gain at the 10-yard line.
What a job by the Vikings, not being fooled by the eye candy in the backfield. As we're going to see Crawford come across.
It was Christopher Lewis getting to him.
Yeah, nice job by the Vikings linebacking core.
As now the Vikings will call it, or it'll be the 2-minute timeout, sorry, no timeout called. As the Vikings will still have to get one more stop here. And Aaron on 4th down, obviously Scott has been an effective runner today, but after the Vikings have keyed in on that the past couple times, what do you want to see here on 4th down?
I'd be surprised if they don't go back to Broadnax on this play. It's going to be really tough to get a run play from 9 yards out to score, especially against this Viking defense who is elite against the run in the red zone. So I would assume that they're going to go back to Broadnax and try to set up one of their playmakers on the outside, whether it's Ashton or Aaron Bryant or Kobe Crawford.
Yeah, and to no fault of Scott, Broadnax is just the quarterback with a little bit more experience in these moments as well as the junior quarterback for this team. I will agree with you. I like the ball in his hands a little bit better than your freshman who's had some miscues today.
Yeah, now if we're inside of the 5-yard line, you have a different conversation on your hands. But with this snap being taken from the 9-yard line, that's a lot of ground to cover. A lot of ground to cover against this Viking defense. And I also would look for if they go to Michael Hayes in the backfield, he can break out for a swing pass that could be wide open if the Vikings don't keep their eye on it.
Absolutely, and like I said earlier, the LaGrange can still get a first down without getting into the end zone. The marker at the 2-yard line, the Vikings will have to be aware that you don't need a goal line stop, you need a first down stop here.
Yeah, exactly. Still a chance to get a first down without scoring the football. And this is, boy, I tell you, you live for plays like this.
Absolutely.
You live for plays like this,
You can feel 2 minutes left in this one, obviously, as both teams back out onto the field now.
It'll be Broadnax.
And it will be Broadnax in an empty backfield to start at least.
Yeah, so trips at the top of your screen, the doubles at the bottom. And here we go.
As the Vikings call a timeout after seeing the formation. Coach K is about 5 yards onto the field before somebody finally hears him. So we'll take a quick break and come back for this much important play here in the fourth quarter. quarterback ready for what could be the play of the game here. A big 4th down for LaGrange, out of timeouts. 2 minutes left to play. LaGrange down by 4 in the red zone. As looking for a receiver in the end zone, and it's dropped. The Vikings break it up.
Wow, what a play by Bryson Williams going against a much bigger Michael Stillwell, able to break that pass up.
As Stillwell had it in his hands, and Williams just absolutely crunched him. Forces the drop, and the Viking secondary that we said would be tested today gets an A on their biggest test of the day.
Yeah, and again, facing one of the best receiving corps that they faced this season, and Bryson Williams comes up in a huge spot for the Vikings.
Incredible play by that Vikings defense, but they're not out of the woods yet. 1:54 left to play. LaGrange still has 1 timeout. The Vikings will have to run some time off the clock with a 4-point lead here.
Yeah, Michael Stillwell had his hands on that ball, but it was the presence and the physicality of Williams that knocked it free. What a job by the defensive back.
And Williams has played a great game all day today, too, both in run support and pass support. There's a high snap. Hunter able to handle it, though. A great play there. Almost disaster for the Vikings.
Yeah, they're able to avoid it and set up a 2nd and medium. We'll get another look at it. A one-handed catch that time from Hunter to save the football game for the Vikings.
As the Vikings will call a timeout, or LaGrange will call their last timeout, sorry, to stop the clock with 1:47 left. 2nd down and 6 for the Vikings. You get a 1st down, this game's over.
Yeah, so you got to believe LaGrange is going to continue to crowd the line of scrimmage the way that they have all game, try to limit this run game that the Vikings are going to look to try to close this one out.
You've got to imagine it's going to be Andrew Hunter in there for the Vikings, just a little bit more mobile than Christian Lewis, and can hurt them with his legs, as well as still throw it if you wanted to catch him off guard and just pick up that 1st down. The risk with that, obviously, if it's incomplete, the clock stops and gives LaGrange a little bit of life. To note as well, if the Vikings do have to punt, they're punting into the wind on where we've seen the ball die multiple times, and probably about an average of 30 yards being punted this direction of the field right now.
Yeah, so this is a big 2nd down play here for the Vikings. You got to get something positive. You cannot go backwards in this situation.
Hunter in the backfield with Turner, about everybody you can have on the line of scrimmage. As LaGrange jumped, but nobody moved for the Vikings, so they'll have their chance to get back. Hunter takes the snap now. He charges forward. Hunter lays the boom on a defender. He's close to the sticks. Well, no signal yet on the 1st down, and they'll move the sticks. The Vikings get the 1st down and can run this one out.
Wow. Again, just the physicality of Andrew Hunter playing a huge role in this one as he's able to close this one out for the Vikings, and they, barring the unthinkable, will move on to the 3rd round of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and this has been quite the game here today. Credit goes to LaGrange as they executed a fantastic game plan today, coming in, and after losing to the Vikings 48-0 in the 2nd week of the game, has shown that they're a different team from that 2nd week and really gave the Vikings a ball game. As a little bit of pushing and shoving happens at the end of this one. Obviously some frustration for LaGrange, but a historic season for the Panthers this year. They'll finish 9-2. They're only 2 losses to the Vikings, winning the USA South. Or 10-2, sorry, as head coach Wes Dodson with the best game, or the best season in program history. But for the Vikings, they're making some history of their own. Some of the best play they've had in a long time, making it to the 3rd round.
Yeah, and you had to know this one wasn't going to be easy. LaGrange was going to come out with a different game plan, a different mindset, ready to make this one a ball game. They did just that. They gave the Vikings all they could handle, but it's Barry with a chance to move on, and we'll figure out who they're going to face in about a couple hours, as the game between Hardin Simmons and Trinity should be winding down as well.
And just the Vikings, like you said, didn't expect it to be easy, but faced a little bit of adversity, able to overcome after the bye and get the job done here. As the Vikings take this one 18-14, will be back here next week as Trinity is up 20-17 with 6:28 left to play in the third right now with their game with Hardin-Simmons. So the Vikings await the winner of that game for another playoff game here at Valhalla Stadium. Hope to see you there. Derek Black, Aaron Urson with you up in the booth, Jonah Hatchett on the sideline, and a huge thank you to all of our production team here on the holiday weekend, able to make this one happen for all you guys at home. And we hope to catch you next week for another Vikings football action.
With your final score, Berry College 18, LaGrange College 14. Congratulations to the Berry Vikings with today's victory. They advance to the third round next weekend. For tickets or more information, visit ncaa.com. We thank you for attending and for your support of NCAA championships. Have a good afternoon and please travel home safely.